Can the America First movement survive in Colorado? Can parents still defend their kids and themselves? And what's behind Polis's new $4 million power grab? Let's break it down here on the Mountain Minute. We start in Colorado, where the future of the GOP is on the line. In the latest Unleashed episode, Rocky Mountain Voice founder Heidi Ganahl sat down with pollster Mark Mitchell to unpack the state's identity crisis.
How do we go into the 26th election knowing what happened in 22, knowing what the polling just said about the Republican primary? How do we get our party to agree on what kind of candidate we need to put up against the Democrats in Colorado?
I think this poll just here, like without looking at any, just that question there, Trump versus a traditional Republican. And among a bunch of people that have Democrats and independents when they're a Trump-like candidate, outperforms, and all of the issue sets were very MAGA forward issue sets, economy, illegal immigration, violent crime, and government corruption. Like that's literally what Trump basically ran on. The problem is that there's a major headwind in Colorado in that it went from a single digit loss for Republicans in 2016 to a major double digit loss in 2020. And it only swung back to the right 2 points. So it's still a D+11 general election environment.
Their polling shows Trump remains popular among Republican-leaning voters, but unaffiliated and even Democrat voters are reshaping GOP outcomes. Mitchell warned, a MAGA candidate wins the primary, but not necessarily the general. Both agreed messaging matters, and the right must sharpen its focus if it wants to win again in Colorado. Next up, Second Amendment rights are still under fire here in Colorado. House Republicans held a press conference this week, slamming SB 25003, a sweeping gun control law that adds permit and training mandates. GOP lawmakers sent a letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi asking for a constitutional review, arguing the law puts protection out of reach for single moms and low-income families in high-crime areas. Meanwhile, Colorado Democrats are pushing a controversial new fund. HB 251321 would give Governor Polis $4 million in discretionary legal power to fight federal policies, especially those tied to Trump's return. Critics call it a partisan slush fund. GOP Senator Mark Catlin said it plainly, "Why are we using taxpayer money to pick a fight with our own president?" On Capitol Hill, freshman Congressman Gabe Evans just hit his 100-day milestone. In that time, he's introduced 6 bills, 5 of them bipartisan, targeting fraud prevention, public safety, and immigration reform. But he's taking heat for a lack of in-person town halls, with critics organizing a people's town hall in his district. Evans says his team remains accessible and focused on results. Also heating up, the battle over girls' sports. Over 60 Colorado school officials have signed a letter urging CHSAA to comply with a Trump executive order that bans biological boys from competing in girls' categories. They warn that failing to act could trigger federal investigations and, of course, funding cuts. And now to the national picture. Tulsi Gabbard has issued a chilling warning as Director of National Intelligence. U.S. election systems are vulnerable to manipulation. In an explosive closed-door briefing, she pushed for paper ballots and hand counts, calling the current digital setup a threat to the republic. RMV contributor CJ Garbo calls it a silent coup and says the time to act is now. In other headlines, President Biden made his first speech since leaving office. And let's just say it didn't go well. He fumbled through remarks on Social Security, with music still playing and the mic off. Critics say it underscores growing questions about the former president's fitness and influence. And finally, a federal judge has ordered the Trump EPA to release $20 billion in green energy funds it had frozen. The court ruled the administration can't hold the money just because it disagrees with how it was awarded to environmental groups. And that's your Mountain Minute. Subscribe now at RockyMountainVoice.com. We'll be back tomorrow with some more truth straight from the Rockies. Let us know what stories matter to you, because this is your voice too.